Are you struggling to be understood when speaking French? You are not alone. It is one thing to know French words, but quite another to know how to pronounce them correctly. Today, I am going to tell you how to fake it till you make it. In this video, you are going to learn how to pronounce the most difficult French sounds. This is another complete French course in which I've compiled 5 French lessons for beginners. These lessons will guide you through easy tips and exercises to help you master the pronunciation of the trickiest French sounds, those with which native English speakers struggle. Whether you are an absolute beginner or a beginner who just wants to brush up on the basics of French pronunciation, focusing on mastering the hardest French sounds will improve your French accent, help you be mistaken for a more advanced learner, and as a result, will boost your confidence when speaking French. In this lesson, you are going to learn the secrets for a perfect French R. I will show you where the sound is made, explain in detail how to pronounce it, and we will practice together. After watching this lesson, you will finally nail the pronunciation of the infamous French R, even when it is in a consonant cluster, as in vrai, quatre, grave. First, let's see how to make the sound. This consonant sound is a bit tricky for English speakers because it doesn't have an English equivalent. The letter R looks alike in English and French words, but they are not pronounced the same way. Region, région. Conversation, conversation. Celebration, célébration. The French R sound is not made with the tip of the tongue going up. The tip of the tongue is against the lower teeth and it doesn't move. The sound comes from the back of the mouth. It's happening where the G sound is pronounced. The G sound that you have in the English word gear. To make the French R sound, I force air through my throat and I make my uvula move a bit. The uvula is the little thing hanging at the back of the throat. As I force air through my throat, the base of my tongue is going slightly up to block the amount of air going through my mouth, and my uvula vibrates slightly against the base of my tongue. We can start by warming up these muscles and make you feel where the sound is coming from. The easiest way to feel it is to gargle with water. Feel free to pause the video and gargle if necessary. Now that you felt those little vibrations, we are going to try exactly the same thing without the water. One of the biggest mistakes students do is to overdo the sound, to overemphasize it. The French R is not a harsh sound. It is not It is more subtle and delicate. It is very similar to the English H. He, when I pronounce he, I breathe out to pronounce the H. Ri. It is the same when I pronounce R in French. I also need to breathe out to pronounce it. He, ri. Now let's practice together. Now, let's practice with some vowel sounds. First, when the French R is preceded by a vowel sound. R. Here, there are 2 sounds. First, there is the A sound and then the R sound. Let's make these sounds one after each other. A, R. A, R. A, R. Ar. Ar. Argent, argent. Ir. Here there is the I sound and then the R sound. I, R. I, R. I, R. Ir. 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 Irlande. Irlande. ur. Here there is the U sound and then the R sound. U, R. U, R. U, R. Ur. 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 Urgent. Urgent. Our. Here there is the U sound and then the R sound. U, R. U, R. U, R. Our. 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 Ours. Ours. Or. Here there is the O sound and then the R sound. O, R. O, R. O, R. Or. 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 Voir. Au revoir. Now, when the French R is followed by a vowel sound, ra. Here there is a R sound and then the A sound. R, A, R, A, R, A, ra, ra, ra. Se rappeler. Se rappeler. Ri. Here there is the R sound and then the I sound. R, I, R, I, R, I. Ri, ri, ri. Riche, riche. Rue. Here there is a R sound and then the U sound. R, U, R, U, R, U. Rue, rue, rue. Rugby, rugby. Roue. Here there is a R sound and then the U sound. R, U, R, U, R, U. Roue, roue, roue. Route, route. Ro. Here there is a R sound and then the O sound. R, O, R, O, R, O. Ro, ro, ro. Rose, rose. Now let's talk about consonant clusters. What makes consonant clusters difficult to pronounce is there is a consonant sound first and then the R sound. Most consonants in French are pronounced in the front of the mouth, while the French R is pronounced in the back of the mouth. So it's like working backwards. You pronounce one sound here first, and then you have to go back in your throat to pronounce the second sound. Let's start with the easy ones and end with the hard ones. Gr. Here there are two sounds. First is the G sound and then the R sound. Let's make these sounds one after each other. G, R, G, R, G, R, Gr, 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 Grand, Grand. Une agrafe, une agrafe. Maigre, maigre. Creux. Here there is the K sound and then the R sound. K, R, K, R, K, R. Creux, creux, creux. Cruelle, cruelle. Mercredi, mercredi. Du sucre, du sucre. Dre. Here there is the D sound and the R sound. D, R, D, R, D, R, dre, dre, dre. À droite. À droite. Vendredi. Vendredi. Du cidre. Du cidre. Tre. Here there is the T sound and the R sound. T, R, T, R, T, R. Tre, tre, tre. Trop, trop. Montrer, montrer. Quatre, quatre. Fre. Here there is the F sound and then the R sound. F, R, F, R, F, R. Fre, fre, fre. Mon frère, mon frère. Affreux, affreux. Un coffre, un coffre. Vrai. Here there is the V sound and then the R sound. V, R, V, R, V, R. Vrai, vrai, vrai. Vrai, vrai. En avril, en avril. Pauvre, pauvre. Bre. Here there is a B sound and then the R sound. B, R, B, R, B, R. Bre, bre, bre. Du bruit, du bruit. Des débris, des débris. En novembre, en novembre. Pre. Here there is a P sound and then the R sound. P, R, P, R, P, R. Pre, pre, pre. Prévu, prévu. Un comprimé. Un comprimé. Propre, propre. Finally, let's see when R is silent in French words. There are two cases where the R is not pronounced. First, masculine nouns ending in ER and IER. Le cahier, le premier, le dernier. Many of these masculine nouns refer to occupations. Le boulanger, le boucher, le poissonnier. Finally, the final R of the infinitive of verbs ending in ER is not pronounced. Manger, chanter, parler. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to pronounce the open O and the closed O, and we will practice them together. I will also talk about the different spellings of these sounds and when the letter O has a different pronunciation. After watching this lesson, pronouncing the two O sounds in French will be easy peasy. First, let's see how to make these sounds. Let's start with the open O sound, as you already know how to make it. For example, you have it in the English words all or thought. The lips are slightly rounded and the mouth is almost open. The tongue is backwards. O. The closed O sound doesn't exist in English. The lips are rounded and the mouth opening is very small. It looks like you're trying to kiss someone or blow a candle. The tongue is backward and do not touch the lower teeth. O. Let's practice these sounds together. I will first make each sound continuously so that you can hear the difference. O. 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 Let's practice with some words. Beau, bol. Beau, bol. Veau, vol. Veau, vol. So, sol. So, sol. Notre, notre. Notre, notre. Faux, fort. Faux, fort. Now let's talk when the letter O has a close pronunciation and the other spellings of this sound. The letter O is pronounced O when it's at the end of a word. Un lavabo, une vidéo. The letter O is pronounced O when followed by a silent consonant at the end of a word. Un abricot, le dos. The letter O is pronounced O when followed by a Z sound. Z, like the little bee. Une chose, rose. The letter O is always pronounced O when it has a circumflex accent. You know, the little hat on top of it. Tôt, bientôt. The letters A, U are always pronounced O. Jaune, chaud. The letters I, A, U are also always pronounced O. De l'eau, beaucoup. Now let's talk about when the letter O has an open pronunciation and the other spellings of this sound. The letter O is pronounced O when followed by a pronounced consonant at the end of a word, other than a Z sound. Un homme. En Écosse. The letter O is pronounced O when followed by a pronounced consonant in the same syllable. Important, poster. The letter U is pronounced O when followed by M at the end of a word. In this case, UM is not a nasal vowel. Du rhum. Un album. There is one exception to this rule. Du parfum. Now let's see when the letter O is not pronounced O or O. Pay attention to these letter combinations. The letters O, I, U are pronounced E or E. Ma sœur, un vœu. The letters O, I are pronounced OI. Un choix, trois. The letters O, U are pronounced OU. La bouche, 12. And also pay attention to nasal sounds. The letters ON and OM can be pronounced on. Bonjour, ils sont. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to pronounce the French nasal sounds and we will practice together. After watching this lesson, you will finally master the pronunciation of the French nasal vowels. Nasal sounds are an essential feature of the French language. There are 3 nasal vowels in French. Please note that I based this video on my French accent. I'm from Paris. In French, there are oral and nasal vowels.
To pronounce a nasal vowel, the air comes out of your mouth and your nose. While to pronounce an oral vowel, the air only comes out of your mouth. First, I want you to feel it as there is no nasal vowels in English. We will start from the close O, which also doesn't exist in English. Lips are rounded and mouth opening is very small. It looks like you're blowing out a candle or a kiss. Tongue is backwards and it doesn't touch the lower teeth. O, O. We are going to say om, but we will keep our mouth closed while pronouncing the M. Let's say it together. Om. Now, let's say it again with our finger under our nose. Om. Can you feel the air on your finger coming out of your nose? I am sure you felt it, but let me know in comments, please. Nasal vowel So now we'll practice the nasal sound We will start from the oral vowel O, say it continuously, then push the air up and nasalize the sound. For lips and mouth opening are the same as for O. Lips are rounded and mouth opening is very small. The only difference is that inside your mouth, you move the tongue a bit more backward to block the amount of air passing through the mouth. This will push the sound up the nose. Let's practice together. Practice out loud. You can keep your finger under your nose to feel the air coming out once you've nasalized the vowel. I am going to zoom in for you to see my mouth. Om. 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 O. O. To be sure you're doing it correctly, simply pinch your nose as you make the oral vowel O and the nasal vowel With the nasal vowel, pinching your nose should change the sound. If it doesn't, it means that it is only coming out of your mouth and that you are not nasalizing it. O, O, Did pinching your nose change the sound? Tell me in the comments. Now, let's practice together with some French words. Don't pronounce the N's. Bonjour. Bonjour. Carton. Carton. Nasal vowel We will start from A, which also doesn't exist in English. It is similar to E as in bed. Lips are stretched, mouth is almost closed, tongue is forward and touches the lower teeth. For lips and mouth opening are the same as for A. Lips are stretched and mouth is almost closed. The only difference is that inside the mouth, the tongue is slightly moved back to block the amount of air passing through the mouth. This pushes the sound up the nose. The tongue is forward and still touches the lower teeth, but it is a little bit less forward than for the oral vowel A. Let's practice together. Practice out loud. Let's make sure you're doing it correctly. Pinch your nose as you make the oral vowel A and the nasal vowel Remember that with nasal vowels, pinching your nose will change the sound. Now, let's practice together with some words. Don't pronounce the M or N. Sympa, sympa. Lapin, lapin. Nasal vowel en. We will start from the oral vowel a, which is similar to a as in father, American pronunciation. Lips are slightly stretched, mouth is well open, and tongue is in a relaxed central position. A. To make the nasal vowel en, you're going to slightly round the lips and keep the mouth well open. You move the tongue a bit backward to block the amount of air going through the mouth. This will push the sound up the nose. The tongue is not in a central position anymore, it is slightly backwards. I am going to zoom in and show it to you in slow motion. Now, let's practice together. Remember to practice out loud. A, a, on. Alright, to make sure you're doing it correctly, pinch your nose as you make the oral vowel a and the nasal vowel en. A, on. Now, let's practice with some French words. Don't pronounce the ends. Enfant, enfant. Dimanche.
In this lesson, you are going to learn how to pronounce the open E and the closed E, and we will practice them together. And since both EU and OEU can be pronounced E or E, I will help you understand when the pronunciation should be closed and when it should be open. After watching this lesson, these two sounds and their spellings will no longer hold any secrets for you. First, let's see how to make these two sounds. Both sounds are difficult for English speakers because they don't have an English equivalent. The closed E sound, E. To pronounce the E sound correctly, we start from the English word bed. We do not pronounce the B and we do not pronounce the D. We just pronounce the E sound continuously. When we pronounce E, our tongue is forward. To pronounce the E sound, we are going to round our lips like we want to kiss someone. The mouth opening is very small. The mouth is almost closed. We are going to practice together. We'll start by saying E continuously, then we will slowly round our lips without moving our tongue position. E. Really put your lips forward, like you're trying to blow a candle. E. 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 The open E sound. The tongue is a bit forward, not as much as with the closed E sound. The lips are rounded and the mouth is almost open. Let's practice together. E. Now, let's see when EU and OEU have a close pronunciation E. EU is pronounced E if at the beginning of a word. Européen. Un euphémisme. EU is pronounced E if at the end of a word. Le feu. Bleu. EU is pronounced E if followed by a silent consonant and at the end of a word. Honteux. De. EU is pronounced E if followed by a Z sound. Z like the little b. Z. Joyeuse. Une serveuse. EU is pronounced E if followed by a T sound. Une émeute. Un thérapeute. EU circumflex is always pronounced E. Le jeûne. Jeûner. OEU is pronounced E if at the end of a word. Un vœu. OEU is pronounced E if followed by a silent consonant at the end of a word. Un nœud. Des œufs. Now let's see when EU and OEU have an open pronunciation E. EU is pronounced E if followed by a non-silent consonant, other than a Z or T sound. Seul, heureux. In this word, you have both pronunciation. EU plus a pronounced consonant, R, open E sound, and EU plus a silent consonant, X, closed E sound. Heureux. EU is pronounced E if followed by IL at the end of a word or ILL inside a word. Un écureuil. Une feuille. OEU is pronounced E if followed by a non-silent consonant. Un neuf. Une sœur. Be careful with the past participle of the verb avoir, to have. It is written EU, but it is pronounced U-G-U, G-U. It is an exception. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to pronounce the French U, and we will practice together. I will also tell you how to pronounce the letter U in French words, whether on its own, in a letter combination, and when not to pronounce it. After watching this lesson, knowing how to pronounce the U in French words will be a piece of cake. First, let's see how to make the French U sound. It can be quite tricky for English speakers as this sound doesn't exist in English. To pronounce the French U sound correctly, we start from the English pronunciation of the letter E. When we pronounce the letter E, our lips are stretched. We have a big smile, like a banana. Our tongue is forward and it touches our lower teeth. To pronounce the French U sound, the tongue position is the same as the English pronunciation of the letter E. Our tongue is forward and it touches our lower teeth. But the lips are rounded in a kiss position. The mouth opening is very small. The mouth is almost closed. We are going to practice together. We'll start by saying E continuously, then we will slowly round our lips without moving our tongue. We are going from a smile to a kiss position. E. Don't hesitate to over-exaggerate your lips and mouth position. This will help you get the right pronunciation more easily. E. 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 U. E. U. E. U. The U sound can be written U or U circumflex. The accent is just a graphic sign. It doesn't affect the pronunciation of the letter U. Let's practice together with some words. Salut. Salut. Tu. Tu. J'allume. J'allume. La lune. La lune. J'ai vu. J'ai vu. Pay attention to letter combinations. If the letter U is preceded or followed by another vowel, it is not pronounced U. A-U and E-A-U are pronounced O. Jaune, O. E-U and O-E-U are pronounced E or E. Veux, seul. O-U are pronounced OU. The sound OU is the same as double O in the English word boot. Lourd, Pay attention to nasal sounds. If the letter U is followed by N or M, it can also be a nasal sound. Lundi. Parfum. Now, let's see 3 cases when U is not pronounced. The letter U is not pronounced when it is between the letter Q and another vowel. Une question. 4. The letter U is not pronounced when it is between the letter G and a soft vowel, E, I or Y. Une bague. Un guide. The letter U is not pronounced when it is between the letter C and a soft vowel, I. Un accueil. Un cercueil. Now, let's test your listening skills and make sure you can hear the French U sound correctly. Which of the 2 sentences do you hear? Il est dessus. Il est dessus. Il est dessous. Il est sûr. Il est sourd. Il est sûr. Elle est russe. Elle est russe. Elle est rousse. J'ai changé de roue. J'ai changé de rue. J'ai changé de roue. Congratulations on completing this French pronunciation course. If you want to be able to understand 50% of all French conversations or text, then you should watch these lessons in which I teach you the most common French words. À la semaine prochaine!